Mr. Root?
Mr. Jenkins, 4 questions that he asked stole all my thunder. I'll raise my hand first next time.
All right, so we are going to have progress reports coming out soon. These are not progress reports, but the grading system is different than it has been in the past. And so during these parent conferences, the teachers are being prepared to explain how this, it's going to be some lengthy parent conferences this year, I'm afraid. But they're prepared to explain the change. And is this report card going to be out there maybe even so they can show them?
Potentially, it's not a huge change. There's an addition for some of the growth mindset. Things have shifted around. The request was about grades and standards. So I think it will be more understandable for the parents, which is what we were aiming for, to make it understandable and consumable by parents to understand where their kids are performing.
Mrs. Johansson?
Remind me when the teachers are going to be trained on this. Is it the October 11th, this Friday?
No, they've already been trained.
They were already trained.
They have already been trained, and they've already been provided the draft or the draft copy of the report card for semester 1.
We're utilizing the already in place opportunities for staff learning through the staff development meetings or the regular planned staff meetings. So we have a group meeting here. They leave with a slide deck to take back to their staff meeting. The principals know to save time on the staff meeting agenda, and they use that time on Wednesdays, the first and third Wednesdays of the month.
All right, well, thank you very much for all the hard work. And the committee, everybody who worked on it, thank you so much for putting this together. Thank you. All right, now we're on to item 6B, technology update. Mr. Steve Thornton, Director of Technology Services.
I'll read the questions.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Look, good evening, board members and Dr. Kennedy and cabinet members. Mary and Jenny and I are here and honored to take a few minutes to give you an update on all things technology and where we've been and where we're going. So let's get into it. First of all, I wanted to, that didn't, I've got to manage 2 things here, and that's kind of hard for me sometimes, as you know. So this is our small and mighty team of 11 positions in the technology department. We currently, up until recently, we had 8 members of our team of 11, and we are now very gratified to say that we last week filled 2 of our Tech 8 positions. If you look in the lower right corner in green, you'll see Mr. Edgar Gutierrez and Mr. Eric Saldivar highlighted, and we are so happy to have them aboard, and we're so grateful to Chad McGow and his team in the HR department for finding us 2 really, really good individuals who have both skills, training, and background in technology, and who wanted to join us and come be members of our team. I hope you have an opportunity to meet them. They're both a couple of really, really upbeat, positive individuals. And we're looking forward to soon working again with Chad and his department to fill our last position that is still open. I wanted to highlight just 3 of our norms. Over the many years that we've operated this department, we've developed some norms in how we work, and I wanted to highlight 3 of those for you today. And the first of those is responsible use. The first of those, as I said, is responsible use. The graphic you see there is about kind of how digital citizenship is learned by our students and how it helps them to build character, and helps them to work safely, and helps them to empowers them to have their voice in the digital community and be ready for college and career and beyond. But it's important to know that responsible use isn't just something that we teach to the kids. It's something that's for all of us, and it's practiced by us adults when we don't share passwords, and when we learn and use our digital materials as efficiently as we can, and when we don't click on suspicious links, and when we preview videos before using them with our students, and when we model the best of what we want to see in our students and see in each other in everyday use of technology. The second of the norms I'd like to highlight today is our role-based access to all of our technologies. This is done kind of automatically. It's sort of an onboarding and offboarding process, working with our HR department and working with our student information system as students come in and staff comes in and they get moved to different locations. Our systems are largely automated to make sure that they have efficient and rapid access to all of the tools that they need to do their job, and that it's reliable, dependable, and secure. And finally, I wanted to highlight probably the most important norm of all for my staff and what I harp on, and that's customer service. And this is, the heart of customer service is listening well to people, looking at them in the eye, asking a lot of questions, being empathetic, and using your skills to try to solve problems quickly. After years of my harping, anyone in my staff by this time could probably recite to you on cue Steve Thornton's mantra, and that is, the job is not done until they feel good about the job that you did. And I have to say that I am very proud of my amazing staff. I'm very proud of the feedback that we get. I'm very proud of their ability to achieve this ideal the vast majority of the time. So I want to turn it over to Mary Braun, and she'll talk to you about some of the programs and some of the projects that we've been working on.
So technology works closely with the other divisions and departments throughout the district on many projects and programs that affect the teachers, staff, and students. Here are a few of them. In personnel, onboarding, offboarding automation, Raptor, digital volunteer applications, and document management and retention. Business, security cameras, MBMS reconstruction project, the lunch system, voice over IP, VoIP access control for doors, and educational services, pre-registration, individual student device management, student information system, document management and retention, and digital curriculum. Keep moving forward. We do this by deeply collaborating with the divisions and the departments, creating a great partnership. I'll turn it over to Jenny Thomas, who will talk about how our collaboration affects the classroom.
Well, we do what we do for student learning. We are all here for the students. So technology works very hard to make sure that the curriculum integrations of all our curriculum materials are always working for our teachers and students. And another thing that we really focus on is we know that there's concern about screen time, but we also know that there's a difference between passively looking at a screen and being active in creating on a screen. So we have tools that allow students to create new information and show what they know. For instance, G Suite for Education is very powerful to help students do that. They can write on a Google Doc or a Google Slide and share their products with their teachers using Google Classroom. Another tool that we have available in our district is WeVideo, and this is where students can create and produce their own videos. And in fact, we've had in the last year 4,782 videos produced by our students here in our district. And to that end, I'd like to bring up Amanda Whedon and Melissa Loudermilk from Tabula Elementary, and they're going to show you what their students are creating with WeVideo this year. Right here.
Good afternoon. I am Melissa Loudermilk, and this is Amanda Whedon, and we are from Tabula Elementary. We're 5th grade teachers there. We're here to present a short video highlighting a few ways we use WeVideo in our classroom. And not only is it easy to learn, it enables students of all abilities to access a platform to demonstrate learning. Students that may struggle in content area often thrive when using WeVideos and become our classroom experts, and that just boosts their self-esteem where at other times they might not feel as successful. And with that.
So we have used WeVideo in a variety of ways in our classroom. A couple ways we're going to showcase tonight is students have created an All About Me video at the beginning of the year as a way to showcase who they are and teach us a little bit about them. Using green screens, we've taught them how to use green screens, and so they've created book trailers for their classroom novels after we finished a novel, and they've also reported out biographies on influential people such as Dr. Martin Luther King. So Melissa and I just wanted to say thank you because we know you guys just voted to renew WeVideo, and we're really excited to continue to be able to use it in the classroom. So we're just going to share a quick video with you.
So, as you saw at the beginning, I had a German flag because one of my nationalities is German. And some easy German that I know is how to say, Ich habe Hunger, Guten Tag, Guten Morgen, Guten Nacht. I love taking pictures. I remember going camping with my mom 2 days ago. We took a bunch of pictures. It was very fun and very interesting.
MLK Junior Project by Aiden, Alex, and Luke. Martin Luther King was a very brave man and changed the world with one speech.
Something I thought was a real good example of how we do everything we do to try to enhance the curriculum and engage students in student-powered, student-centered learning. And this is one of the powerful ways we can do it. I'd love to answer any questions that you might have about what we've been doing and how things work. Questions? Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you to the teachers who made those, by the way.
Yes.
Those were about where the Sharknado series, like their editing skills are about the same. They're for the future.
All right, item 7, report from MCCE President, report from the Menifee Council of Classified Employees President. At this time, the Menifee's Council of Classified Employees President may report on items for information purposes only with a maximum time of 10 minutes. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the governing board and staff's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. Here you
are. Good evening. My name is Albert Lopez, president of our classified staff. I'd like to start by thanking you all. We've had a total of 4 negotiation meetings so far, and all have gone with great communication. Thank you. I'd also like to address our staff development days and Keenan trainings, as we need more communication and better direction to alleviate confusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8, report from MTA President, report from the Menifee Teachers Association President. At this time, the Menifee Teachers Association President may report on items for information purposes only with a maximum time of 10 minutes. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the governing board and staff's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. Do we have anything tonight?
No.
All right, thank you. Item 9, public opportunity. This is the time for members of the public to address the board about items which are not on the agenda. Agenda items may be discussed at the time they are considered by the board. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the governing board and staff's ability to respond to comments on non-agendized matters at the time such comments are made. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and 20 minutes per topic. Those wishing to address the governing board should step up to the microphone. Preference shall be given to those persons who have submitted a presentation from the public forum to the secretary. Jerry Kong. Yep, right over here, and if you could address the board.
President Bennett, Dr. Kennedy, members of the board, my name is Jerry Kong. I am your partnership specialist with the United States Census Bureau. I'm here to introduce myself and get input from all of you and from your school sites, and to create partnerships that will ensure that we have a complete count of every person in your school district. And if you have any questions, or if I can make appointments with each member of the board and with Dr. Kennedy himself, I'd appreciate that so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Harris.
Good evening, board. My name is Stacy, and I'm a concerned parent. I have a child that is 7th grade. He attends Harvest MUSD Academy. And just to give you just a brief of what's been going on is the bullying in schools. Last semester, 6th grade, I constantly went to our principal, vice principal, the counselors, and addressed the issues of the bullying that was taking place in school. I showed text messages, I've showed Instagram where there was a suicide pact going on at the school, and there's a child that was teaching the children how to commit suicide. I showed this information to the principals and to the counselors, even so much as the children telling the kids to turn the gas on when your parents go to sleep at night. It got so bad to where my son started having suicidal thoughts, and asking children to help him commit suicide. I went back to the school. I asked the school, can you please call the parent, let the parent know that my child is asking their child to help him kill himself. They would not contact the parents. At the end of last semester, I had to hospitalize my child due to suicidal thoughts. He was hospitalized for 72-hour psych eval, and then transferred to a mental facility in India. During the psych eval, the social worker told me I should call the police. Once I expressed that information to the school and to the counselor, then they spoke to the children, then the parent got their child's phone and seen all these text messages that I've been begging them to talk to their children about or address the parents. On this school year, I'm very hesitant to allow my son to return back to Menifee School District because nothing was done last semester. He's still receiving bullying from some of the children that attended last semester, along with a few other new children. I did go to the school, asked for their assistance. A few weeks ago, my son was chased on the playground during lunch, back and forth till he got tired of running, by 4 boys. 2 boys jumped him, blunt force trauma to his ribs. He was sent to the office and then he was just asked to sit in the office for the last 2 periods. He was not he was not sent to the health or nurse's office. I was not notified. When my son got home, he did tell me about it. I went to the police station, filed a report. I did have a meeting here a few weeks ago with Carolyn Luke, to address the issues that I'm having. And then I was asked to come to the school, and they did apologize for not contacting me about the fight that happened on the playground, not being notified about anything. So my question is, why do we not have an SRO for this school? I mean, it's an elementary school, but now that they do have junior high classes, there should be a SRO. They do not have an SRO for our district, and I really want to know why. Again, I'm still dealing with, you know, the therapy that my son is going through due to the bullying. They did suspend the kids, I think, for a day. But then the text messages and the threats, you're telling him not to return back to school, and he's you know, poor excuse for society, and all these things took place. So I did give that information to the school, as well as to Carolyn Luke. And I would like to be added to the agenda to get an update in 2 weeks, if possible, regarding this SRO.
We can't comment on it right now, all right? So if you hang out afterwards, but we can't comment right now. Okay, so we're listening, but we can't comment. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kelly Holman.
Hello, board. Dr. Kennedy. I am just giving you a report on how things are going at my site with our newly formed moderate severe SDC class. I've stood up here several times in the past 5 months to talk about it before it arrived, and now that it's arrived, I still have many concerns. The same concerns basically. First, I want to say the teacher and staff are doing a wonderful job adapting to the situation they have. But if the plan is to keep this class at Ridgemore, they desperately need their own bathroom. The bathroom situation is just not ideal, nor is it working adequately. So a bathroom was created just so we can all refresh everyone's memories. The men's restroom in the office was changed into a single-use restroom, and this is the only men's restroom we have on campus to serve our male staff and parents. And there have been conflicts where men have had to wait because the restroom was being used to change a student. And changing a student is not a quick process, and the male staff we have on campus have a limited amount of time for a break. And honestly, that's minor compared to what's going to happen when it rains, because the students have to be escorted outside to use the restroom to get to the office. So these problems are just not going to get better. We have a schedule, but unfortunately every single student in the class, there's 9 of them, all of them have to use that restroom. They're not capable of using the restrooms independently on campus. So that's issue number 1. And issue number 2 is that we have a student who is new to Menifee. We held an IEP on August 28th regarding equipment that he needs. So we agreed that he does need a Hoyer lift to help transfer the student changing to the table and to the floor. Today's October 8th, and although equipment's been ordered, it's still not here. And my question is there a way we could have rented this? Because this is not safe for the student or the staff to continually lift him. Fortunately, there is an aide in there who lifts weights quite a bit, so she's able to lift him. He's a 5th grader and he's not light. So I just, you know, once the lift arrives, we need to make a decision as to whether or not we put the lift in the bathroom or in the classroom, because he does need floor time in the classroom.
And if the classroom's chosen, then that's gonna create a bunch of other issues because we're gonna need a changing table in the classroom, which is not very feasible in my opinion. So I just continue to invite you guys out there, see how it rolls, spend a couple hours, see how they do the bathroom schedule, see how things are really going, because we need to seriously, it's October now, and I know this got thrown at us in April last year, but if class is going to stay at Ridgemore, we seriously need the correct bathroom facilities, because this isn't going to work. The problem is just gonna keep compounding itself. Unfortunately, we're an old school, and I wish, we were new and indoors, but we're not. And so are we making it work? Yes. Are our students safe? Yes. But is it the best for them? I don't think so. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Before we move on, Mrs. Borth was feeling ill today, as I understand. She left earlier today, and so that's why she's not with us here. Item 10, action session, approval of agenda. It is recommended the governing board approve the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
This is Johansson, and a second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Root, questions or comments about the agenda? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10B, approval of consent agenda. It is recommended the governing board approve all items in the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
Mr. O'Donnell, and a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Jenkins. With this, we do need to amend the minutes in there. So, Mr. Root was busy actually working at the last meeting, but in the minutes it said that all board members were present. We need to make it say all members were present except for Mr. Root. All right, with that amendment, I don't know, do we need another first and a second or not? Yep, so do I have somebody who can give me a motion on the amendment?
I'll give you a motion.
The amended version. Thank you, Mrs. Johansson. And a second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Jenkins, all in favor of the amended version of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, action session, business and financial. 11A, September 2019 report of purchases. It is the recommendation of the superintendent and staff that the governing board ratify the report of purchases for September 2019 in the amount of $6,434,487.33 as presented. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Root, and a second.
I'll give you a second.
Mr. O'Donnell, questions about this item? All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11B, resolution number 2020-49 of the governing board, acting as the legislative body of Community Facilities District number 2014-3 of the Menifee Union School District, authorizing the issuance of its 2019 special tax bonds. It is recommended of the superintendent staff of the governing board adopt resolution number 2020-49, which authorizes the issuance by Community Facilities District number 2014-3 CFD of its 2019 special tax bonds in a maximum principal amount of $16 million. Do I have a motion?
All motion.
Mr. Jenkins, and a second.
I'll give you a second.
Mr. O'Donnell, questions or concerns about this?
This is the new development, right?
Would you like to come up and give us some information? Come on up.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, members of the board. This is actually the Centennial Development on Holland and Briggs being done by Party right now. So it's in South Shore Elementary, Bell Mountain Middle School. The funds will either be used over there, the school facilities portion, or the plan is, what we're considering right now is it may go towards a site right in the elementary school in that area. So that's really the intended use of our funds. The district stands, there's some other public agencies that are going to be funded, the city of Menifee, EMWD is going to get some funds from it as well, but we're looking at about $5.2 million right now based on current interest rates. And so you see that 16 million there. We don't set the par amount, the max par amount quite a bit higher. The expected par amount right now is about 12.2 million. We're producing a fair amount of premium. It's just kind of an inside baseball phrase there, but right now it's about $12.2 million in par, with the premium about 13.5 that gets produced. Those other agencies are going to be getting less than what Menifee gets, but altogether, you know, with the cost of issuance, with all the other elements involved, it comes out to about 5.2 for Menifee.
Mr.
Is
Jenkins?
the summation of all the tax base as a whole, what is it, percentage?
You know, it was under 2% when we formed. I would assume that we're still there under 2%, because that was just amended back in 2018. So they had their rates that they amended. They went immediately in and started building. There are some overlapping assessments there, so I think we're probably right around the 2% total effective tax rate. There's other CFDs on the property. City of Menifee, I think, has a CFD out there as well.
Who does?
City of Menifee.
Oh, City of Menifee.
It's for services though, it's not for facilities. The portion that we're funding for City of Menifee is on the facility side, but they have a services CFD out there as well.
I guess it'd be nice to see what for any new developments, what the actual total tax base is gonna be on that, because we gotta be careful with that as well, so.
Absolutely.
If you could bring that back to us, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll bring the final numbers on that, on what it looks like once we've, one of the difficult parts too with estimating these right now is that process, there's only about 25% of these homes have sold, so a lot of it will depend on the sales price when we set that effective tax rate. Because that's the key component, right? The total taxes that will be levied on it, and then the assessed value of the sales price. So when we looked at those sales prices back in 2018, everything's under 2%. If sales prices deteriorate, if they sell for a little bit less, then we could be in a situation where the effective tax rate increases. On the other hand, if sales prices go up, then we would have a lower effective tax rate.
How much of that development is built out?
Right now, they have 60% permitted on the units. They're 60% permitted, about 25-30% closed to individual homeowners. I will say that gap is a little bit larger than what I've seen in other areas. This is just my opinion, but I think from what I've seen in the area, maybe some of the sales have slowed a little bit from what we saw a year ago. If you go back to a year ago, the market's just been a little bit slower, and that has resulted in some sales prices either staying a little consistent, or maybe potentially even come down.
Any other questions? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I think we're on to item 11C, approve change order request number 6 from Hannibal Contracting Inc. for Phase 2 of the Menifee Valley Middle School reconstruction project. It is the recommendation of the superintendent and staff that the governing board approve the attached change order request for $30,500 for Phase 2 of the Menifee Valley Middle School reconstruction project. The rationale: Phase 2 of the Menifee Valley Middle School reconstruction project includes electrical work for interim housing. COR number 6, value engineering, results in a credit to the district in the amount of $30,500. So, yeah. So do I have a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
Mr. O'Donnell, on a second. This is Joe Hanson. Any questions? Any questions about this item?
Can we see more of those?
Well, all in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11D, approve additional construction management service request from CW Driver for Phase 1 of the Menifee Valley Middle School reconstruction project. It is the recommendation of the superintendent and staff that the governing board approve the attached additional CM service request as submitted by CW Driver in the amount of $49,392 for Phase 1 of the Menifee Valley Middle School reconstruction project night work. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Mr. Jenkins, and a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Root, questions, concerns about this? Mr. Jenkins?
Yeah, this is in addition to what we already approved back in August and September, and I thought that was all inclusive back at that time.
So CW Driver made their bid based on daytime work, and because the city demanded that we do the work in the evening to for the traffic, they're having to pay their own person an additional amount, and that's what that's reflected in. So essentially, the 30,000 that we saved in the front is coming in the back.
Because when we met with CW Driver and met with the architects, and they said this was all done. It was, so I specifically asked him at that time, is he here tonight? That specifically if that was what it was gonna cost, it was like an additional 347, 300, whatever the amount was.
Right.
And that was, well, they were like, nope, that's it. And that was like an additional, now we're up to around 400. So I mean,
Correct.
where's the contract on that? Where's the overage, you know?
I can save copy of the contract and provide it to us, to the entire board.
I know Amber's gone, but,
Would you like me to add that?
Please.
yes, please.
Yeah, this was a specific option for the district. We opted to have an additional job site superintendent to be there at night since we didn't have anybody out there except for the subcontractor. It just, we felt we needed an extra set of eyes to prevent any other liabilities and problems involved with not having anybody on our side out there. If that makes any sense. It just gives us a superintendent to be on the job at night. That wasn't part of the original scope.
So this is not a request by CW Driver, then this is a request by us?
Yes, it was a recommendation by CW Driver, requested by us.
But I think it's more complicated than that, right? First of all, this is not the first time the city has required us to do something that cost us extra money. They've done this in the past, right?
Right.
So the city has required something, correct me if I'm going down the right path, the city has required us to do this work at night. So then we have the extra funds going there, but really the extra funds come because we didn't want to leave the company unsupervised.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to go back to you, Mr. Jenkins. Mrs. Johansson, do you still have a question? Mrs. Johansson, and then back to Mr. You want to
Go ahead, just I'm gonna gather my thoughts on how we'll do this.
So I am glad that MVMS is having this work done at night because I know the traffic is a problem the way it is. But I thought that this problem was initially created, I thought the delay was initially created because paperwork was misfiled or the architect or it was misfiled with the city. And I thought that we were gonna be able to recoup some of that money, that we weren't gonna be paying for all of that because the filing was done incorrectly on the architect side. Am I correct about that? That's what I thought we understood. And so I have never seen that recouping of the money, like this credit that came back to us in the last thing we just approved. I don't know that I ever saw that credit coming back. So where are we like not pursuing that?
Well, the engineer on the job is probably who you're referring to, had spoken with the county, and the county had given us some direction. And as it turns out, the county had no jurisdiction on this project. And there was some criticism back and forth between city and county among that component. And there is more complicated, pieces to this whole puzzle. And we did get, the engineer didn't charge us any extra, I guess is what we have to look at it. The architect didn't charge us any more for the scope. And they actually had the right to. We negotiated with them to keep the additional scope. They're based on a percentage of the project, and they didn't give us any cost of that.
But the fact that we were like 2 weeks behind and had to do it as night work ended up,
I can answer
in
that
my
if you
head,
want. We
came
had a
up
meeting with
like more than
Right.
$400,000.
Well, it was about 347,000 what it came to. We thought it was, we geared around 900, it was a lot less. We had a meeting, I was privy on the meeting when they met with the architects and the CW Driver. And what happened was, it wasn't really their fault. We thought they're the ones that went to the county when we told them to go to the city. It was the county that told them to go to the county. The county actually approved it and then goes, oh yeah, we don't have jurisdiction. So how that works, what it comes down to is the city and the county are guilty, and there is no repercussions against the city or the county for this kind of thing. So when we went through the timelines, we looked through all the information, it was the county's fault. But we can't hold the county accountable for that because, yeah, they're not gonna hold the county accountable for anything. So what it comes down to is, my question on this though, and was during that same meeting, and where you're along the lines of, Because I thought this was already, we asked, this is all, this thing was all done, and now we see an additional $49,392, and I'm wondering why. Because I thought it was all said and done at that meeting that it wasn't gonna happen. 5–10% maybe, or something along those lines, but, you know, we're looking at like 25–30%, what they said was gonna happen, so.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get that hold of that contract and then provide it to us, and then maybe we can bring it back for another opportunity to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, but if we don't approve this, we're just gonna stop the work.
Well, it's not gonna stop the work.
Actually, it would delay, I would imagine.
Well, it would stop the superintendent from being out on the job, which puts us at risk. That was the entire
liability.
Right, it's the liability.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Johansson, I think you were gonna say something.
I'm just dying at a $340,000 mistake. Like, I get that it's county and city and we don't have repercussions, but like, on our end, shouldn't we be making sure that they're moving it along correctly for $340,000? Shouldn't we be chasing that like the whole way and making sure that's that's like $1/3 I'm up here dying over that. That was the mistake made.
No, I would agree with you 110%, but I would say also welcome to development. And when the county system tells you to do one thing and you go through and do it, what's amazing is that the county actually approved the project and they didn't have the jurisdiction to do so. And then they come back after the fact and say, oh yeah, by the way, we can't do this. So, I mean, they goofed all the way around, so we can try to go get it from them, but we're gonna be some years going after it, and I'm all for it, but it's gonna be interesting to see what's gonna happen on that. Unfortunately, it's county with county, common with county, so we can go through it, but it's a legal situation with county, it's government.
I just think we need better follow through. That's $350,000. Like, welcome to construction is not a good enough answer for me on that.
Well, what do you wanna do then on that? Because that's what I'm saying, when the county, the government is the governing regulation board, they're the regulating entity, and they tell us that what to do. I'm behind it 110%, because originally I was like, this is ridiculous, they should be held accountable, but then when they said that it's the governing body, it's the same thing of when they sit there and they have a jurisdiction, they said, oops, we goofed. That's the county system, they said, yes, we have jurisdiction, and they go, oh no, we don't have jurisdiction.
There's another part of this we should keep in mind. Had we dealt with the city in the beginning, this whole job would have been as night work, and this is what we would have paid anyway, probably without the negotiations that we chiseled them a little bit. So realistically, if we had gone through the initial process with the city, knowing that it was going to be night work, we may have paid more. Ultimately, we may be saving money. I know it's hard to look at it like that, but realistically, they bid this as a day job, and everything is put together as day. And as soon as it goes to night, everything costs more at night. You know, all of your workers get paid more. Everything changes. The time, it takes a little longer.
I guess I'm all for the superintendent being out there too. I'm just wondering why that wasn't included up front, or why we're not doing that, and why it's a afterthought.
It's a hard hit, I admit. This job has been our problem child. So.
All right. With that.
So we're voting on having the superintendent there or not, right?
Agreeing to the price of the superintendent.
Well, who do they have out there right now?
The superintendent. He's been on the job.
Who's superintendent? What superintendent?
CW driver has a superintendent.
Right. Do they have any government entities watching them as they do this? Or?
Yes. We have city inspectors just city inspectors. And then we have, we don't have any DSA inspectors since it's not on the site. So we have a soils engineer out there, as well as EMWD has.
So this is off-site, this is off-school site?
Off-school site, yes. This is in the middle of the street, out in front of the school.
I guess why are we paying for it? Why isn't the city paying for it? I mean, because we have to.
It's not the city's responsibility.
Right, we have to hook up to.
We have 10 years of the ability to recoup our money if there's development in the area. The city won't pay for it, but if a developer comes in within the next 10 years, they'll have to pitch in their portion of it.
Right, I understand they're hooking up to the city, but okay. I mean, hooking up to the sewer, we got to pay for it, but. Because anything that goes wrong in the street or anything they do wrong, they got to answer to the city for, right?
Yes, that's why the city has an inspector out there as well.
Okay, so it's understood that this is not a great circumstance, but we are going to have a vote to see if we're going to proceed. All right, so with that, all in favor of this recommendation, say Yes, having the superintendent. All in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed?
No.
So that's 4 yeses, 1 no. Mr. Jenkins is the no.
Thank you, Mr. Sellers.
Yes, thank you. Item 11E, ratify amendment to 3-year standard purchase agreement with Mifflin Harcourt Publishing Company for the 2019-2022 school years. It is the recommendation of the superintendent and staff that the governing board ratify the amendment to the 3-year standard purchase agreement with Mifflin Harcourt Publishing Company for the 2019 through 2022 school years to increase the amount of the agreement an additional $30,000 for a new not to exceed amount of $83,160.91. Do I have a motion?
Give you a motion.
Mr. O'Donnell, and a second.
I'll second it.
Mr. Root, questions about this item?
Just a quick, if you would.
Sure. So at Freedom Crest Elementary, we were able to pilot a supplemental math program, which is this program from Mifflin called Go Math. Initial application, many of the teachers are very happy. We added some additional training, and then we added, as you can see from the contract, probably from the backup, Tier 3 math supports for students who need extra support. And this will be for the next 3 years until our district goes into a full pilot and adoption, potential adoption.
2022? 21?
Close. I would have to check to be exact, but yes, we're about 4 years out.
Okay.
Mrs. Johansson?
Just Freedom Crest has it now, and then other ones might get it in the future.
Right, so this is current publication. So when we go out as a district, we'll be looking, maybe Mifflin will have the same program, they may not. So we'll be looking at the new curriculum that will be available.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11F, approve agreement for professional service with Pupil Transportation Information LLC. It is the recommendation of the superintendent and staff that the governing board approve the agreement for professional service with Pupil Transportation Information LLC in the not to exceed amount of $25,000 for the 2019-20 school year. The rationale is PTI provided assistance in bringing back special education transportation services in 2019-20. As per board request in this contract, Phase 3, PTI will assess cost, fleet, and staffing required for general education transportation in Menifee Union School District, with a final report to be provided by June 30th, 2020. It says when? Yeah, it's 2020. All right, so with that, I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Mr. Root, and a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Jenkins. So, with this, what we're looking at is, we're looking at having them do a study to see if we can bring back busing to the general education population, and the study itself costs $25,000.
Up to, they're asking that much, or are we just including that much?
That's how much their contract would be for.
Not to exceed.
And we get a full cost analysis of what it would cost us per student, so we can kind of tell
Yeah,
them.
they'll look at everything from the date of our fleet, you know, replacement value, how much it costs to run the department, all of those pieces.
Didn't they do this a few years ago?
They did.
Can't they just report on the one we already have for less than $25,000? Can we hear that
How long ago was
report
it
again?
done?
Absolutely can bring that report back.
When was that?
When was that from? 4 years ago?
Yes.
3 years ago, something about 4 years ago.
3 years ago.
Before we approve this, can we go back to them and ask them if they can just use the other report, maybe cut this cost in half, and then, I didn't know the report was done 4 years ago.
Yeah, you will.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead.
That'd be good.
So
Can we put it off?
We can
I'd
table-
like to,
we can
well,
table-
I would personally like to hear the last report instead of spending $25,000 on a new report to see what the
Or
cost.
have it, I'd like to see it updated, myself personally, and see what that
I
would
wonder
come in
how much an
for.
update costs.
That's exactly, is, how much does an update cost?
Can we make a motion to table?
I think Mrs. Johansson had another comment and then we'll make the motion.
No, I would like to see what an update would cost as well. Like the old numbers from 4 years ago, things have changed so much that it doesn't do us any good to know like what those numbers were.
I think it'll still give us I get what you're saying, but I think we'll still see what the cost was even from 4 years ago.
Well, can't we dig up that report without them giving us a presentation?
Yes.
Like that charge us
We have
fee
it.
for you?
Oh, we have
We've
it.
already paid for it.
Yes.
I wonder what it would cost to update that report, if they can use it or whatever.
So what is the motion that you want to make, Mr. O'Donnell?
I just want to table it until we get the report from them from the last one that they did, and then this could be brought back after we know what they did from the last study.
Can I add to that? What I'm hearing is that we'd also like to check in to see if we can get how much it would cost us for it updated as well. So we'll table it to see if we can just use the last one and how much an updated version.
How do we push it, just to like the next meeting till?
Yeah, I think the next meeting, right?
Or the agenda
So that's the
there?
motion by Mr. O'Donnell. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Root, all in favor of Mr. O'Donnell's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries.
Do we need a motion to put it on the agenda next time, or just?
Staff will put it on the.
All right.
Okay, let's go on to item number 12, action session personnel. 12A. All right, I think we have some kids who are ready for this to finally happen back there. 12A, appointment Dean of Students. It is recommended the governing board approve the appointment of Michael Blanton to the position of Dean of Students for Menifee Valley Middle School effective October 9th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
Mr. Jenkins, and a second.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Johansson. I gotta say, I got the same position. We'll have to exchange notes if this all works out okay in this vote right now, so we'll see how it goes. All right, Mr. Jenkins?
Have we measured the stash yet, and is it within the dean legal limit, or is it over, or?
It requires a trim, but,
I'm just jealous, sorry. So.
I'm hoping to get there too. Won't have money in the month though, so.
All right.
It's a good thing, so yeah.
All in favor of this appointment,